Welcome everyone. Boy, does it feel good to be back in front of the camera and having you join me today. This video is stemming off of a video that I did earlier in January where I shared tips for a first date. Those tips, which there were 5, were for the ladies. And when I did that video, I had asked if you thought it would be a good idea for me to do one for the fellas. Well, of course, I heard from many of you and you encouraged me to do that. So that's what we're going to do today. Before we get started with the tips that I have pages of, and I will be working off of these, I do want to say, and this really would apply to both the ladies and the guys, if you are on a website that is designed for you to meet other people, like a dating website, I think it's very important that when you put your profile picture on that website or any pictures at all, you make sure that those pictures are accurate with how you look today. You don't want to put a picture on when you were much younger, much leaner, or look much better than you do in person. You don't want to arrive and disappoint the person once he or she takes a look at you. So I think it's very important to put a picture on that you feel good about, but make sure it's very accurate with how you look. In my mind, I probably wouldn't go with my very best because I'd rather give him the wow factor when I arrive, but I will leave that up to you, but just bear that one in mind. All right, let's get started with appearance. Just like I had mentioned in the 5 tips for a classy lady to act and look on a first date, I am going to reiterate that you are judged first and foremost on your appearance, and that is why we are going to tackle that first. Let's talk about the do's and the don'ts. Do dress stylish and current. Of course, this is for the fellas, but we can all apply these things either way we want to look at it. But do not overdo it where you could potentially outdress her. Again, stylish and current, but don't overdo it. You don't want to look like you've tried too hard. Do dress for the type of establishment that you will be going to. If it's a dressier establishment, dress accordingly. If it's more casual, feel free to dress more casual. The third thing with appearance, make sure your outerwear complements your outfit. If you are dressed up, don't wear a casual coat and vice versa. Next up, if you are a guy that feels naked without a hat on and you will be going to a very casual establishment, then by all means feel free to wear a hat. It's important for you to display who you are, and if that is how she would be seeing you most of the time, if this relationship did tend to flourish, then I think it's okay to do that. If you are going to a finer establishment, leave the hat at home. And let me just back up and say, also with the profile picture that you could be potentially putting on the dating website, if you're always wearing a hat, I would encourage you fellas, hat wearers, to put a profile picture on there showing you wearing a hat. Lastly, when it comes to appearance, do wear cologne if you are comfortable wearing it, but not too much. Again, you never want to give the impression that you have tried too hard. Too hard in your appearance and too hard on your scent. Next up, when it comes to tips for the fellas on a first date, we are going to talk about gentleman gestures. Number 1, when deciding on the establishment that you are going to take your date to or you are going to meet your date at, you want to make sure that you choose a place that you have dined at before, one that you have confidence in. You never want to go in blind. Also, I would never recommend that you ask her where she would like to go. If you are the one asking her out, then you should choose the establishment. On the other hand, I do recommend that you ask her if she has any dietary restrictions or if there is anything that she absolutely does not like. She may say, I like pretty much everything, but I'm not fond of Mexican food. Then you wouldn't choose a Mexican restaurant. Often if you're choosing a steakhouse, you're pretty safe because steakhouses have wonderful chicken and fish entrees. They also would have vegetarian dishes. Also, a lot of women like Italian establishments as well. Their salads are always amazing and they generally have good entrees in all meat categories as well. And of course, they would have vegetarian dishes along with that. Number 3 on gentleman gestures, give your date details as to where you will be meeting or where you will be taking her. Women like to be able to plan their outfit accordingly, and she will be grateful that you communicated this to her. Number 4, if she is wearing heels or even if she is not, offer to drop her off at the door while you park the car. If the establishment offers valet, you could take advantage of that service. Make sure you have money to tip the valet boy. Number 5 for gentleman gestures, when walking in and at all other times, do hold the door for your date. Now, obviously, if she is meeting you, that won't happen. I would say if she is meeting you, you are the one that made the initiation and asked her out. Therefore, you should make sure you arrive first. Also, there is nothing like the wow factor when she walks in and you first make that initial eye contact. It should go without saying, but it's also very important that you always let her go first. Number 6, if it is a cold weather season and the establishment has a coat check, offer to resource that, and if she is willing, also assist her in taking her coat off. Also, don't forget to have tip money for when you retrieve your coats. Number 7 would be if you arrive together and neither one of you are seated, when the hostess takes you to your seat, if the opportunity for you to pull your date's chair out is there, then go ahead and do that for her. Often the opportunity may not be there. You could be in a booth or the host or hostess could be in the way. Regardless, she is always first. If the opportunity is not there for you to pull her chair out, then you would gesture for her to sit and then you would follow right after. If she is meeting you and she is approaching the table and you are already there waiting, then you would stand up to greet her. If you've been talking and you feel comfortable, a nice little hug could be appropriate. It really just depends on how well you know the person. It's important to go back and watch the ladies video because there's many things that I talk about in there that still could apply to this one as well. Often we can see cues and feel that comfort level of how much is okay and how much is not. Most women are not going to decline a subtle little reach-in hug when meeting. You could shake hands. It's really whatever you're comfortable with. I really wouldn't say there's a right or a wrong. And number 8 for gentleman gestures, do plan on paying the bill. It is the gentleman's responsibility to pay the bill unless for some reason other arrangements have been made. The next tip I want to talk about is communication and body language, which speaks volumes when it comes to a first date. Number 1, treat the servers and wait staff with the utmost respect and manners. She is watching you. Number 2, and I know this should go without saying, but it does need to be heard, do not be checking your phone. Do not have your phone out where you can see notifications popping up. Just keep the phone in your coat or somewhere where it is out of sight and don't be checking it. Number 3, and this really is a biggie, and it is a mistake that often I think does take place, so be very leery of this, but do not bring up past relationships, other first dates, or experiences that you have had with any arrangement, whether you are on a dating site or just meeting. Don't bring it up. Number 4, on communication and body language, do not look at or check out other women in the establishment. Keep your focus on the lady in front of you. Number 5, do not look at your date's body in an obvious and disrespectful way. Stay focused on her face, not on her body. Very important. You don't want to blow it on the first date, okay? Along with that, number 6, and some of these I think should go without saying, but they need to be heard just in case, just in case. There's always that person that is going to break the rule. Whatever you do, do not tell her she looks hot. Do not use the word hot. We are not food and we are not weather. Just don't use the word hot. Classy gentlemen do not ever use the word hot when they are talking about a woman. Just saying, that's my opinion. I'm old school. Instead, offer a compliment simple as, you look very nice. If the date is going well and later in the night you feel like you would like to compliment her again on her appearance, don't forget, you're not going to say the word hot. You could say something like, "You are one classy lady." "You look very nice," or "You are one classy lady" are two things that are going to impress her. If you use the word hot, you are going to sound young, you are going to sound immature, and you are going to sound like this is a first date with maybe some other thoughts in mind for how the night is going to end. Not a good place to be. Number 7, this is really a biggie as well when it comes to communication. Do not sell yourself short. Now, what do I mean by that? And this is probably the biggest mistake that I think men make. Not that I've been out dating, but just listening to men, especially men that are on the second round. Let's say they're divorced and they're in their 40s, 30s, 40s, maybe even 50s, and they are just getting out on the dating scene. They get on the websites where you could potentially meet someone and you decide to meet and go out on a date. Often these men think they are doing something really good to sell themselves, but they are actually selling themselves down the river. And let me explain. What happens is men are so focused on selling themselves and making themselves sound so successful. I'm very successful at my job. I'm making really good money. I have achieved this. I am the best at that. I. All these things. Well, what really happens when you think you're giving a sales pitch, which this isn't a business dealing, this is a first date. What happens is you actually make yourself look like you suffer from, I would say, low self-esteem. If you need to toot your horn, generally it's because you are either lacking already or you don't have the security in what you're doing. If you want to impress a lady, you're going to ask about her. Now, believe me, down the road, you can share all these wonderful accomplishments that you have, but right now, it's how you make her feel. And if all you're doing is talking about how awesome you are because you're trying to sell yourself to her, and again, it's not a business deal, she's not buying anything, you are actually turning her away. So the key is to ask about her. And what will happen is, in response, she will ask about you. And that's what you want to do. I would really steer clear of talking too much about yourself. And if she does ask you something, don't own the conversation. That is another thing that a lot of women are looking for. If you recognize that you're doing most of the talking and she is not, no, that is going to turn her off. Pay attention. Self-awareness is always key. Pay attention to how the communication is going. Is it balanced? And that's important. Along with that, never interrupt your date. When she is speaking, there should be eye contact. You should be listening with intent. Again, if there's no food on the table, feel free to slightly put your forearms on the table and lean in. You're listening with intent. You're looking at her face. You've got a nice smile and you're interested. That is what's going to impress a lady. Next tip on communication and body language. If you met your date on a dating website and you have been communicating through text, do not mention anything pertaining to sex. A classy lady, which I hope is what you are hoping to find, would be highly turned off by this, and she should be. She really should be. If you bring up anything pertaining to sex, you are leaving the impression that that is what this meeting is for. And maybe it is. I don't know. You let me know. How's that working for you? And if that is what your intention is, every time you go out with a new prospective person, there could be a reason why you haven't landed someone. Something to think about. A classy lady is going to pick up on the fact that you've had numerous dates and that you potentially could have been going to bed with all of them. That is not going to be in your favor. It's just not, no. Okay, get off of it, Trace. Another one really along that, if you've ever sent a picture of any of your body parts to a prospective date, clearly you are not in the market to meet a classy lady. You may meet something, but she isn't going to be classy. You know, just backing things up, when I first started training clients locally in the county that I live in, many of the women that I trained were in their 40s and they were recently divorced, and they were wanting to get a little bit of them back. They've been moms, they've sacrificed many things, and now they're going to be going out in the dating scene, and they want to start looking good, so they hire a trainer. Perfect, I love it. A lot of them were on dating sites, and I saw a lot of things that these ladies that I trained would share with me from these sites. And I'm not bashing the sites at all, because I know many people that have met their husband on them. Just like everything, there's good and bad to everything. And it's the bad people that give it the bad rap. We all know that. It's that way in life. So the ones that take advantage of it make everyone look bad. And that's not really fair, but that's life, and we just have to accept it. But I cannot believe some of the things that would be sent to my clients. And what are you thinking is my thought. What are they thinking? No, you just don't do that. I mean, you could be talking and texting for a whole week, and you're both excited to meet, and it's the day you're going to meet, and I have observed this happen, and everything's been going great. It's the day you're going to go out. You're going to go out that evening, and then you send her a picture of a body part. You just blew it. You just blew it. I am hoping that if any of you have done that or have considered doing it, I'm reaching you. That's all I can say. All right, we need to move on. Dining and drinking, we're going to talk about tips to do with that. Number one, watch and follow the tips from my dining etiquette and table manners video. That will be linked. That is a must-watch video. As far as wine goes, do not order a bottle of wine if you are not a wine drinker. You are not staying true to who you are, so don't do it. If she wants wine, she can order a glass, and you can order whatever it is that you would like. And stay tuned, because I do plan on doing a detailed wine video that I think many of you will like. Let me know if you'd like me to do that. Number three, on dining and drinking, when it comes to drinking, feel free to order whatever you would like to drink. If you order a draft beer, I would recommend you just get a pint, because it's just not so big and robust. You know how I feel about the Big Daddy. Save that for down the road. Also, watch your pace, because those are cues. To me, I would be very observant to how fast somebody is pounding the alcohol. And I know for myself, and I know even for my adult children, if they recognized somebody was pounding the alcohol, that's an instant turn off, because that's a message. And that message is, you can't control your alcohol. So if you can't control your alcohol, what else in life can't you control? Can you control your finances? Can you control your temper? And I could go on and on and on. So you want to show that you do have a sense of control. So watch the drinking, pace yourself. And again, really, the same rule applies like it did in the ladies video. 2 drinks is plenty. 2 drinks is plenty. And if the date goes really, really well, like I talked about in the ladies video, and you want to maybe go to the bar area or the lounge area afterwards, and she is open to that, then potentially you could have 1 post-dinner drink. But again, I say limit it to 1. If you're out for 3-4 hours on a date, I can see 2 to 3. But just be very cautious. Again, self-awareness. If the date starts off really good, that initial meeting, I would say order some apps or small plates, because by doing so, and I did talk about this in the ladies video, when you order appetizers prior to your meal, it is going to extend the duration. So if you feel an initial attraction to her, and then she's seated and you start to talk and you guys order your drinks and you're just already feeling that first impression is good, I say order some appetizers. And also don't forget, like I mentioned in the other videos, do a little studying online, have a good idea of what potentially you would like to order, and say, do you like this? Do you like that? And be open to whatever she would like. Engage her in that conversation, but if you want to extend it, you want to delay things, so go after the apps or small plates. And again, if you have further questions when it comes to drinking and dining, you really need to watch the other two videos that I have linked below, the ladies version as well as the dining etiquette one. Let's move on to physical activity and other post-date correspondence. I'm sure you can guess what my thoughts are on physical activity on a first date, but let's dive in and talk a little bit more about it. Do not initiate any physical activity on the first date. I just really think that is not going to be viewed very positively. If the date went extremely well and you know that you would love to see her again, tell her. Tell her how much you enjoyed the evening and how much you would love to see her again. There's a very good chance that she feels the same, and don't hesitate to tell her because you're having fear of failure or something like that. You know, we only have sometimes one opportunity, so don't pass that up. Communication really is key, and it doesn't make you look weak to share your feelings. So look her in the eye and tell her how much you have enjoyed her company. I think you're going to have a good feeling or a good vibe, and maybe have had enough cues come from her that she feels the same. So don't hold back, never, in that way. Physical activity, yes, you need to hold the hormones. All right. Also, if you really did enjoy your time with her and you would love to go out with her again, don't schedule it right there. Don't put her in that position. That puts somebody on the spot, and most people can't. You know, we need our calendars, we need our schedules to see what works. Just tell her that you would like to see her again, but don't go trying to schedule that right then and there. If she seems open to it, giving her a hug goodbye is perfectly fine. In my opinion, it's perfectly fine. And you know how conservative I am on physical activity and physical contact. So yeah, I would say if she's open to it, and you know, watch for cues is what I have here. If it feels right to hug her, do so. I would refrain from going in for the kill with a kiss, however. I just think it says a lot about a guy who refrains from doing that. I really do. Again, I think I talked about this in my ladies video. If you already know each other, you are acquaintances, you are in the same social circle, I can totally see where perhaps you could feel that it's okay if this date went well for you to attempt to give her a kiss. Again, watch for cues, but it will never be held against you that you didn't, as long as she can read by your body language and your communication, what you say verbally, that you are interested and would love to go out with her again. So it's going to be to your advantage, I believe. If the two of you drove separately, and I would say in most cases, if you do not know the person and you met through a site or something like that, most of the time you are going to be meeting one another. And I would encourage that. If so, if you drove separately, it's perfectly fine, in my opinion, to send her a text message when you get home telling her how much you enjoyed the evening in her company and asking her if she made it home safely. I would be very impressed with a gentleman that texted that to me. There's a very good chance, again, if she enjoyed the evening, that she is going to text back a very nice message expressing that she felt the same. I would keep it short, let everybody sit back and process and enjoy the moment of reflecting on how the date went. Waiting until the next day to send her a text message is also a wonderful idea, but I definitely like the idea of asking if she made it home safely. So that would be my first choice if you drove separately. But again, you could text her the next day, but I would wait till a little bit of the afternoon. I wouldn't wake up and jump the gun. But again, what you're feeling usually is accurate. You know, we have to trust our gut sometimes. So there's really no right or wrong answer. I'm just giving you some suggestions. And really that covers everything that I feel would ensure a very positive experience for a first date. If you don't feel the connection and you don't feel like you would want to have a follow-up date, I would not drag the evening on. There's no need for it, but don't do anything disrespectful. Don't be looking at other women or doing things that just aren't proper etiquette or proper manners, even though you know you would not like to continue this relationship. And really, fellas, that pretty much covers everything. So I don't know how many men this video will reach. I encourage you ladies to share it with men that you are aware of, young and older, because we are dealing with men that are just starting out, and we are dealing with, just like with the ladies, men that are starting all over again. And I think, you know, it's really whatever you want to take. The important thing is just be well-spoken, use good manners, be in good taste. Those things will never work against you. So I hope you found this video helpful. Comments, suggestions, other videos you would like to see, I am always open to hearing from you. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you soon in the next video. Take care.